My name is Leila Thatcher, a tour guide at the Library of Lost Things. This is The Doorstep Project, Episode 13, The Lost Crystal Cave. West Oregon is famous for Portland and Tillamook, and of course, the Library of Lost Things. Oregon boasts its own collection of lost things like Pixie Land, snake oil schemes, and Bay Ocean, a town built on a sandbar. Bay Ocean was supposed to be the topic for this week's episode, and maybe we'll do it in the future. But while I was doing research on this lost town, I stumbled across an article on the Lost Crystal Cave of Bend, Oregon. And I thought it was worth writing down the story. It was first discovered in the early 1900s. The exact date isn't known, but we know that Marjorie Smith was around 10 years old when the cowboys came to town. It was common to have cattle drivers stop through Bend, Oregon on their way, looking for a place to rest on their journey. They usually brought stories of danger and daring or local legends from towns they visited. These men brought a new story. Carrying chunks of clear diamond-like crystal as proof, they told all the people of Bend, Oregon of a mysterious cave nearby. The story goes that the cattle drivers were going from Burns to La Pine. While looking for firewood around the Pine Mountains, the men stumbled upon a cave opening. Looking inside for a moment, they found a miraculous sight. The cave was filled with crystals growing from the walls and ceiling. They claimed it was $1 million worth of diamond. The cowboys continued their journey shortly after arriving in Bend, but Marjorie's father, Nicholas Smith, became curious. He had examined the crystals and thought they were truly special. Nicholas rode out the way the cowboys had come from. He followed their trail to the Pine Mountains, and sure enough, found the cave the cowboys had talked about. It was just as described, floor-to-ceiling crystals. The winter that year was promising to be bleak and dark, so Nicholas broke off a few more crystals, took note of the landmarks around the cave opening, and returned home. He followed the same trail to the cave, finding the landmarks he had made note of, but could not find the crystal cave. Nicholas Smith spent the next 20 years searching the Pine Mountains and everywhere between Bend and La Pine, but he never found the cave again. Marjorie Smith lived in Bend, Oregon most of her life. She attended Central Oregon Community College to get her degree in teaching. She taught for 22 years at Allen and Kenwood elementary schools and almost lived her entire life in the apartment above her father's hardware store. She passed away on May 7th, 2010. You can learn all about Marjorie and the beginnings of Bend, Oregon at the Deschutes Historical Museum, which is located just down the road from Nicholas Smith's old hardware store. I found it very interesting to learn about this family's history. I hope I can visit that museum one day. Back to the Crystal Cave. There's another story that's pretty similar to Nicholas Smith's. The other comes from Aubrey Perry, the son-in-law to Newt Cobb. According to Aubrey, his father-in-law was one of the men who discovered the cave. Newt Cobb and his two friends had done a job shearing sheep on Milliken Ranch and were heading for Schoenquist Ranch. They decided to camp by Sun River and found the cave while looking for firewood. Similar to Nicholas Smith's story, but a different location entirely. According to the geologists, this is completely impossible because the area isn't old enough to support quartz to grow as large as the stories say they are. That's what most people believe the crystals are. It's possible they're ice, or selenite, which is a common crystal in Oregon. There's one more clue. There's an article on offbeatoregon.com that talks about the Lost Crystal Cave. The writer said that when they first wrote an article about the cave, they received a call from an older gentleman asking questions about what the writer knew. The man was relieved to know that the writer didn't have much information. This gentleman claimed to have visited the cave multiple times, but didn't give any information as to where it might be. So, here's what we know. The Lost Crystal Cave is realistically real. At least, I believe it is. Marjorie Smith had the last physical account we have of the crystals her father collected, and no one who has seen the cave would willingly say where it is. There are many examples of beautiful places like historic caves and abandoned buildings that are ruined by partiers and visitors who disrespect the value of an untouched space. For instance, an ice cave near Bend was rediscovered in 2010. Inside were artifacts from the Oregon people who used to mine ice in the cave for their food in the summer. A few months after it was made known that the cave was open again, all of the artifacts were stolen, and by the next year, every inch of the cave was covered in graffiti. Secret places are kept a secret for a reason. A cave like this should be protected from people who wouldn't respect its significance and beauty. And the mystery of this cave is something that may be better left undisturbed. Before you go tromping around searching for a lost cave in a forest, remember that these places are considered sacred to some people. Maybe they aren't meant for the general public. So, if you happen across a cave covered in crystals somewhere in Central Oregon, enjoy it. Take a sample of the beautiful crystals, take a deep breath, and remember that moment. But do me a favor. Maybe don't take a picture or take notes of where it is. Appreciate the beautiful cave, but let it stay secret. If you have your own stories about the Lost Crystal Cave of Oregon, well, you can let us know. You can go to familyfriendlypodcast.com and shoot us an email, or you can go to our Instagram at famfriendlypod. We love to interact with our listeners and storytellers, and we can't wait to hear your story. Family Friendly Podcasts also has other podcasts, and you can learn more about that at the website, familyfriendlypodcast.com, or on our Instagram, once again, at famfriendlypod. Thank you for listening to The Doorstep Project. This audio drama was created and produced by Family Friendly Podcasts. If you enjoyed the podcast, leave a rating and review on your podcast app of choice or share it with a friend. Leila and the project will be back next week. Until then, write every day. One day your story could be in a museum. Looking inside, they... blah, blah, blah. Gotta remember how to breathe during recordings. The Doorstep Project is produced by Family Friendly Podcasts. It was written, edited, and performed by AJ Barton. Sound effects for this podcast are provided by Zapsplat. Music used in this podcast includes Reawakening by Kevin McLeod, licensed under the Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 license. You can learn more at his website, incompetech.com, or at creativecommons.org. Both music and sound effects have been changed and edited by AJ Barton. Links for websites, information, and contact can be found in the description of the episode. Would you like to submit your story or art to the Doorstep Project? You can find information for story submission at familyfriendlypodcast.com/The Doorstep Project. Information on CC by 4.0 licenses can be found at creativecommons.org.